Hey, what's up? This is Paul Murphy. So this is a brand new updated overview of EverWebinar. So if you're looking to run auto webinars or just-in-time webinars, then I'm actually going to give you a complete overview of the brand new EverWebinar 4.0 platform. And also, if you decide you want to bite the bullet and buy this today, I'm going to give you access to my groundbreaking 24-hour ranking system that allows you to place all your products and services in front of red hot buyers, brand new red hot buyers every single day, and keep them there for years to come. So this kind of set and forget system where we place listings on the front page of Google and they stay there for years to come. So just to show you with EverWebinar, you'll see here, look, if we just put in EverWebinar trial, you'll see very red hot buying term. These are my videos here. This is an ad. I'm number 1, 2, and 3, and these videos are over 2 years old. So we utilize the algorithm inside of YouTube to place our listings on the front page of Google, because YouTube is Google's younger brother. And these are red hot listings. Like, these generate dozens of sales every single day. It may even be that this is how you came here, right? So I'm actually going to give you access to this system completely for free, lifetime access, saving you $997. So first of all, we're going to dig in. Now, the first thing we're going to do here, we're going to go into access, and then we're going to add a new webinar. And this will look kind of familiar if you've ever used the old Webinar Jam or EverWebinar platforms, because they've rebuilt it to look kind of similar. So it's kind of easy for you to navigate, right? So the first thing we want to do is we want to choose a video. So this is kind of like an auto webinar system. So what this means is that we're going to use our own videos, and we're going to allow people to sign up how we decide in this section here for this. And actually this will be running our business in the background. Now we have two options here. We can do an external video file, okay, or we can do a previous Webinar Jam live session. For an external video file, you just drop your link in here, okay, and they will accept anything that's MP4, YouTube, or Vimeo Pro. Now I'll put a link on the top left-hand corner of this screen, or top right-hand corner of this screen, to show you how to configure this, because I actually created an extra video for this showing you how to configure this. So obviously if you're just looking for a demo at the moment, you don't need to worry about this, but this is, I've obviously created a little bit of extra training for that because I've got some best practices. But for this, if you notice in the last video, we actually did a Webinar Jam demo. I'm actually going to use a previous Webinar Jam live session, which I just ran. And you can actually see here, this is the one here, and this is the one here. It says 1st of March. I know it's not the 1st of March, but we actually set it for that date, but then we ran it immediately anyway. So that's the great thing about this, is you don't need to worry about anything. If you've run a Webinar Jam session and you've run it a few times and you've got your favorite one and it's got all your chat roll and everything, you can literally just select it inside of here. But obviously you don't need Webinar Jam. If you haven't got Webinar Jam, you can just upload any file you like. Okay, so we're going to use the previous Webinar Jam session because it's there. Okay, and then we're going to configure the settings. So this just says live presentation with Paul Murphy. Okay, so that's fine. And and this is based on the title that I actually used inside of EverWebinar. So it's pulled the title over. Okay, we can list it in the on-demand section. So this will actually be promoted by Webinar Jam if we decide to do that. So maybe we'll do that. We'll choose the category that makes sense. But for this instance, we won't. Okay, because obviously it's an extra option. You can if you want to. So we'll keep the presenters as they were for the actual live event. But again, you can obviously configure that how you want. I'll just show you that. I went a bit too fast then. So you can actually obviously put in new presenters, new moderators, however you want really there. Okay. And then the webinar schedules. Okay. So we can actually set this up. So we can set this up to run every single day. Now, what I generally do for this is I'll run one every day. Okay. So let's go every day, and I'll run one at around 3 p.m. okay, in user's own time zone, and then I'll do one every day at around 8 p.m. something like that, user's own time zone. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is I'm also going to do some other configurations. Now this one's really good. Now what this does is it allows them to watch yesterday's replay, which is basically just an instant replay. And what that means is they don't have to wait for the next event. They can watch it now, and they can pause it as well. Now, I think this is really good, especially if you're running stuff in the background. Like people signing up for webinars, sometimes they're not quite ready to go through it right now, but they want to watch your presentation. And people know as well that we run auto webinars in the background. Now, I totally recommend not saying it's live if it isn't live, but you obviously can have it running like a live experience so that people engage a bit more. That's absolutely fine. That's totally ethical. But you can actually allow them to watch yesterday's replay. Okay. And when they do that, there's no fakery here. Like we know that this is yesterday's replay. They can watch it at their own time. Now, I've actually seen increased conversions by including this. So what that means is they can choose 8 o'clock tonight if they're not ready right now, or if they happen to be logging in the morning, they can choose 3 o'clock this afternoon, or they can just watch it right now. So I found that this is really, really good. Okay. And it says here, you may display the registration box anytime that may have started within the last 60 minutes. The purpose of this feature is to let people join an already running webinar instead of forcing them to watch the next one. Again, this is a new feature, but this is, this just depends on what you're doing, really. Because obviously, if somebody turns up at the offer, do you really want them seeing this? But in some instances, yeah, it may just be that it's a Q&A and they're half an hour late. So this is pretty cool, right? So you can actually put that in, okay? And then they've also got the just-in-time option where you can actually set that on the hour, every half hour, every 15 minutes. So this one here, you can actually decide whether you want to block it at certain times of the night, just depending on what you're doing. I generally have that off. I allow people to choose when they want to watch it because people work different shifts. There's different time zones throughout the world. I just generally have that off. And then you can actually decide how many schedules you want to show up on the screen. So you can have just in time or yesterday's replay, okay, which is pretty cool. Or you can have the next available schedule. You can have the next 2 available schedules, depending on what you want, right? So, again, I don't know if there's a good or bad way to do this. You could, pretty much how you want to run your live event. They allow you to kind of obviously choose what best suits you and your event. And you can actually block out certain days. So, for instance, if you're not wanting to have these run, while you're on holiday, for instance, I don't know why you would, because obviously this is an automated system. So you can have this running, even if you're on holiday, really. But, there might be reasons why you need to block stuff out. So you can do that. And you can also block out bank holidays if you want to make it look real. Again, I generally don't. Christmas, a lot of people get laptops at Christmas. A lot of people get business ideas at Christmas. If they want to sign up for this webinar on Christmas Day, who am I to tell them not to, right? So, again, you can have that. They've put some in it there if that makes sense, but you don't have to do that, right? Okay, then you press confirm. And then you'll see that the registration page design is the one that we had for Webinar Jam. They've actually basically pulled everything over from Webinar Jam. So this is the one we used in Webinar Jam. And we even reconfigured this bar to be red. So they've pulled this over, so it's exactly the same. So when they sign up for this, it looks exactly the same. But you can actually obviously decide to change this if you want to. You can use your own page here. If you do your own page here, you just drop in your URL here. Okay, and I've even got an extra training video. I'll put a link in the top right-hand corner to show you how to configure your button so that you can use it in your own page. Okay, pretty easy. So again, you can choose from these templates if you want to use a different one to your live event. Or if you've not even run a live event, you can obviously just pre-configure any of these or your own there. And your registration form fields, first name and email is mandatory, but you can also include last name and phone number if you want to. And you can actually charge for the event. Now, this is pretty cool. So it may be that this event is either free to register or you could charge for it. Now, what I really love about this is the simplicity of this. This actual link is only going to be given to them once they've paid. So if you set it up via PayPal or ClickFunnels or Kartra or Kajabi or one of your payment gateways, you literally just put the link to your payment page there, and on that actual payment page that you've set up, you can actually have it forwarded to this link here. So, and you can actually put the amount here. So what that means is that you don't need to configure anything inside a Webinar Jam to take payment. You can you can actually take that payment however you want, anywhere you want, and then all you do is just have this as your forwarded, and they'll never get this link unless they've paid. So this is really cool, and it means that they are now verified and registered to sign up for your event. So it's pretty cool. And then this is going to say, so obviously for this one, we're going to say it's free, but that's how you do that. Okay. You can actually have it so it's password protected. So you can actually make sure that they have a password. Okay. So define one master password, or everyone gets their own password. Okay. For this, I'm going to put no. I don't usually use that, but that might be useful. And you can send out your reminders. Okay, so you can obviously send out one immediately, 20 hours, 24 hours before, 1 hour before, 2 hours before. Now, this has actually pulled all of this data from my previous Webinar Jam live session. So I recommend having it set up like this: immediately, 24 hours before, 1 hour before, 2 hours before, and 15 minutes before. Now, the likelihood is if they're signing up and watching yesterday's replay, they'll only get this one. They won't actually ever receive any of these. But if they do decide to attend an event tomorrow, or maybe you've set one up to be literally like a live event where they're actually going to attend next Thursday or next Friday, these reminders are all going to go out and let them know. Okay. And also we can actually send them a replay of, even though it's an auto webinar, we'll actually send them the replay, and this will have the replay link of the same event, right? Or whatever event we decide. We can actually send them to our own page, which I'll show you in a minute. So again, this is pulled from Webinar Jam, how I set this up in Webinar Jam. So you'll see that some of these options won't be available. If you want to add more, you just add more, and maybe you want to do one 48 hours before. So maybe, you're doing one two days before, 24 hours before. If you want to do that, that's absolutely fine. People do not get annoyed when you send out reminders for your events. And you can also pre-configure these as well to put in what you want. So this is obviously like an autoresponder. You can put in your own messages. Obviously, this is all pre-populated, so you can leave this in, and then you can just sort of slot in your own messages. You can change the email subjects, all that sort of good stuff. So that's why I love EverWebinar. And then on here, you've got integrations. Now, you can actually integrate with Kartra, ActiveCampaign, any of your favorite autoresponders as well. So you don't have to use EverWebinar for your email autoresponders. You can have it set up in your own autoresponder. And what's really good about this is also if yours is not listed, you can actually integrate via Zapier, which Zapier just allows two pieces of software to talk to each other. And the way you would do that is go into your My Profile tab and set that up in integrations at the top here. Okay, this one here. And when this is here, it will be available. And then you'll see here, it says 4 rules. I actually set these up in Webinar Jam, so it's taken them over. So you can actually set up the rules as you want. So depending on what they do within this event, you can actually apply a tag, remove a tag, add them to a list, all based on what you've got in your autoresponder. Okay. And if they register or miss the live event, leave before. If they purchase a product, obviously you can remove the tag so that we don't annoy them. So this is really cool. This allows you to sort of send them the right email based on what they've done, or actually just keep a note of what people are doing inside your CRM, inside your tracking. Just depends on what you want to do. So this is why I love this feature. So that's that. And then you can put in your pixels or your tracking codes inside all the pages inside a Webinar Jam. So if you want to send them marketing based on what they've done, you can put that all in here. So if you put the tracking code in here, you can send them an ad based on what they've actually done, which is really cool. And then we can survey the registrants as well. Anyone who registers, we can actually create a survey for them if we want to. And we also can decide what thank you page. Again, this is pulled from Webinar Jam. It's really cool. I actually have very little I need to do here. This page is already done and customized from Webinar Jam. But you can obviously choose, if we go cancel and exit, you can obviously choose which one you want. If you want to change it, what I recommend with this actually, especially for an auto webinar, is including a video. Okay, so they've got these pages where they actually have a video here, and it just helps you indoctrinate, tell people how they can actually turn up for your event. So this one here is pretty cool. I like this one. So you see that there's a video telling them, what to expect on the live event. You can kind of give them extra info and indoctrinate them more there, right? And this is where we then choose our skin. Now, this is the one I used in Webinar Jam, but you can actually choose one based on your branding now. They've actually got all these different skins. So, you just choose one that you prefer, really. They all do the same functions. They're just obviously different colors. So that's what I love. Like, this is before you just had one option. So we're going to stick with that one. I'll show you some of them so you can see. That's that one. That's that one. Pretty cool. So we're going to stick with the one we used, which is that one. And you'll see that there we can add a poll or a quiz that we can actually include inside the event. And this is where we'd sort of pre-configure everything that we're going to include inside of our auto webinar. And we can set this up to kind of appear at the right time and all that sort of good stuff. So we can actually have live chat enabled. Now, if you're live chat here, you can actually have the chat role from the previous webinar jam session, but every time this is running, people are going to be adding comments. So you can actually add them, you can actually include them, you can delete them, or you can just not have them at all. So again, this is like, this is actual comments from real attendees, and you can include these from all your previous events to show up so that it kind of creates that social proof if you want to have that. Okay, or you can just have a question box if you want to. Okay, just depends on what best suits your audience. And you can have some announcements that appear during your live event. So, for instance, you might at the start say, "Hi everyone, just getting a coffee, hope you're all well. Say hello and introduce yourself in the box and we'll get started in a minute." Stuff like that. And you can have something at the end saying, "I hope you all enjoyed that, let me know." This sort of thing. And this will appear throughout your event. And we set up a product offer inside a webinar jam and it's brought this over. So this is the one. And obviously you can configure your own one here. And the only difference is here you can actually put the time that this is going to appear. So this is the time of the end of the event because it was only 1 minute 51 event. So we might want this to show, we might know that this actually, the time we mentioned this offer was at 1 minute, right? So this is going to appear at 1 minute. Okay. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put in 0 minute and 10 seconds. And then when we run this, you'll see that this will pop up. Okay, so I'm going to press save. And then obviously the end will be there. We can apply urgency as well. So we could say, you only get 30 minutes to purchase this offer. Okay, so that's that. We go confirm. And at the end of the actual event, you can actually redirect them to your offer. So obviously you just put the time at the end of your event and the destination URL. Or you can redirect them anywhere you want, okay, depending on what you want to do. Okay, we've then got sticky messages. So I actually put one in here, "Hi everyone, just getting a drink." So that's now going to come up because that was from the live event. But you can obviously delete that or put in whatever you want there. And you can actually have this displaying dynamic attendees. So you can actually decide on how many you want this to show. So if you put 300 in, what's going to happen is this is going to kind of like go up and down during the event to make it have a live feel. Or you can just do fixed attendees, so it's just going to show 300 all the way through, which doesn't kind of look live. Or you can just put don't display, right? So you can actually have that off. I generally have that off now. I think when I first started, I did this, but it just felt a little bit unethical. So, it just depends on what you want to do, really. I have that off generally now, just because I know people know that it's not really live. And I never say it's live. So I don't really want to kind of, if I'm trying to build know, like, and trust with my audience, I don't want to kind of make them feel like I'm duping them here. So we switch that off. And we can have some live sales notifications. Again, you can set this up based on previous buyers from previous events. You can make it up. I mean, again, it's up to you. You can put that in here. And you can have your file handout. So if you've got PDFs or anything that you want to give out inside your events, you can add them in here and you can actually decide when you want them to be included there as well, which is pretty cool. And you can actually enable the webinar replay. So the reason this is already enabled is because we have sent out emails after the event. In this notification section here, if I press confirm, you'll see that we've got, I'll just come back to here, go back to notifications. You'll see that we've actually got 3 emails after saying about the webinar replay. So because of that, we can actually enable the webinar replay recording, okay? And they will actually be sent to this page. Now, also on top of that, we can actually set an expiry date, okay? So we can actually decide when that wants to be expired. And also, we can, if we want to, allow people to submit questions or just leave it as on the replay. Now, the difference between the replay and the live is the replay looks like the live room, but they can pause it. Okay, so that's pretty cool. So we can actually decide if we want that off. If we want that off, we can disable that, and then we can switch it back on. And then, you know, we can decide when we want it to expire. Now, because my second email says 72 hours, I just gave them an extra few hours. So again, you can set that whenever you want, okay? Or have it off if you don't want it to ever expire. And then we're ready to go. This is now our auto webinar. So what we're actually going to do is we are going to sign up, and I'm going to show you how this works. Okay, and you can see that they can register for the next event, which is in 9 minutes. Okay, so this is set at just in time. So when we press this, you'll see that they have some options here. They can watch yesterday's replay, or I obviously just set it to one future event, so they can watch the next one, which is in 15 minutes. Now, the one in 15 minutes is going to be a live event. They won't be able to pause it or anything. But for the purpose of this, I'm going to just show you watch yesterday's replay now so that we can actually watch it immediately. And then they would obviously sign up and then press register. And then you'll see that this is our skin color here. Chat is disabled because this is a replay. Otherwise, the chat would be down here. And then we're going to press play. And this... I'm just going to turn this down so you can't hear me. And then you will notice after about 20 seconds that the offer will appear. There we go, 10 seconds. And there we go. So that will obviously appear like when you've actually mentioned it inside your event. And if you've got polls or any chat that you want or anything pre-configured, this is all going to appear here. And the great thing about watching yesterday's replay, which is a new feature, is that you can pause it. Okay, so that means that they can, you know, if they've just signed up and they don't realise they're going to be watching this big long presentation, they can go and grab a drink, they can pause it and watch it at their leisure. Pretty cool. And then that's it. This is only a minute long, so that's pretty much all there is to it. So that is like a full demo walkthrough of the entire EverWebinar. So if you're interested in grabbing this, I'm going to give you my 24-hour ranking system. Now, this is a 997 course, and this will eat most 997 courses for breakfast, because this actually shows you how we are able to put all of our products in front of actual buyers on the front page of Google and YouTube for free. 9 times out of 10 cases, we're not even putting ourselves on camera. We use this for e-commerce. We use this for online courses. We use this for health niches, where we just basically offer some value. We don't do any selling. It's 100% white hat, and this is groundbreaking. So just to give you some examples here, you can see that this is EverWebinar, this is Kartra, this is my listings here, Webinar Jam, these are my listings here. And most of my listings you'll see that have been up here for years, and they are rock solid. They do not move. So once you know this system, I'm just letting it select whatever it wants to here. Once you know this system, you can actually place your listings at the top here in front of actual buyers for years to come. This is over 2 years old. This is number 1. In fact, there is actually a listing above mine, because the one at the top there's an ad. But for this one here, you can see, look, this is an ad. We're number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And then there's a couple more. Then we've got another 2, 3 more in this carousel. So I've actually got 7 videos in a carousel of 9. So, I mean, this is incredible. And this is, you know, that's what I mean. This system will save you hundreds of thousands on all your future ad spend. So the button's now going to appear on here, so you can go and sign up for EverWebinar. Also, you'll see a full demo walkthrough of Webinar Jam if you want to go and grab that as well. You can obviously grab that, and yeah, you'll get full access. This is lifetime access to this course. So don't cancel this based on anything that you do. And you will actually get a 30 days money back guarantee as well with this. So yeah, go and sign up for this. Go and have a play around with this. You're going to absolutely love it. I'll see you on the inside.